We're ready? Yes. All right. Welcome everybody to the Tuesday, May 26, 26, Portsmouth School Committee meeting. If you'd please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence for our troops in harm's way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Prior to this meeting, we had an executive session. No votes were taken. May I please have a motion to seal the executive session minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Unanimous 7-0. Please let the record reflect that everybody is present tonight of the school committee. In case of emergency, there's a door here. There's a door right there. Those are the two, I think. And we meet over at the new gym and await further instructions. Couple of updates here. Mr. Ferber, could you please give a report out on the Rhode Island Association of School Committee annual meeting?
Sure. We met, the meeting occurred last Saturday. I would say about 60, 70 people attended. And the topics were the Annenberg Institute, a representative from the Annenberg Institute was addressing us on transparent funding for Rhode Island schools, which basically was a discussion about possibly getting the state to pick up more of the costs of special ed. And I kind of tuned out when I started hearing this because I've been through this so often. Picking up the tab for special ed and also transportation costs. And I think there were a couple of other items, but it was all advisory and nothing was concluded on that. And then there was a fellow there representing Buy Board. I don't know if do we use Buy Board?
We do.
Okay, so this fellow was representing how it works and showing a demo for those that weren't familiar with it. Then the Howard K Award, which is given every year. Howard K, I guess, was a superintendent in Newport many years ago and highly regarded. So they established an award for him. The winner this time was Judy Spramuli, who for years had been Tim Duffy's executive assistant. And she was there, and that was interesting. I haven't seen her for a long time. And then there was a discussion of around the Holocaust and genocide education. I wasn't aware of this, but you must know, all school districts are supposed to include discussion of genocide in their curriculum. Well, if you're not aware of it.
I am aware of it.
Okay, so I wasn't aware of it, but in any event, that was the emphasis to make sure the school districts were doing that. And then for me, the most interesting thing was the fellow from RIDE who was representing the RIDE's AI initiative. And that was pretty interesting. As you know,
Yeah.
RIDE's input is basically all guidance right now. There's nothing, there are no requirements or whatever, but he gave an interesting discussion of where they were headed with guidance on AI.
And there's a pretty comprehensive guidance
Right.
document that's out there. That's the work that we're doing with Throughline right now.
Right.
We're kind of dissecting it and starting to work on suggestions towards a policy to support.
Right. And that was for me, that was the most interesting discussion because it was just interesting to hear where the state was with respect to implementing the teaching of AI. That was pretty much it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for attending. Bond legislation update. The bill was introduced in the House Finance Subcommittee for a hearing. I submitted the same written testimony that I submitted for the Senate hearing. The other legislation update was Dr. Rivera submitted a letter on behalf in support of expanding high-cost special ed funding. So those were the only two legislative updates.
And that's also in backup.
And that's in backup, right? And then are you talking about the stage 2 approval, which fits with the bond, or do you want me to say that? Okay, the big news, drum roll please, the Department of Education RIDE approved our stage 2 request in full. And now it goes to the Council on K-12 Education, and then they usually take the RIDE recommendation into account, and then hopefully that will all be approved. And then the next step on our capital improvement efforts is on June 22nd. There'll be a very important meeting at the town hall with the town council that hopefully we can get as many school committee members there as possible and community members in support, because they will be deciding on the actual question that goes on the ballot. And usually it mirrors, it did last time, it mirrors the resolution that gets passed through the House and the Senate, the legislature. And then at some point, though, the town will decide how much of that they'll actually fund. But at this point, it's just getting the resolution on the ballot, which hopefully measures what was passed at the legislature, because that avoids any confusion. And so here's the letter that I'll pass that around with that. End of year updates. Ms. Kelly, I think you attend over here, sorry. Not sure where people are sitting today. You attended the CLAC Awards?
I did. So I was at the CLAC Awards actually with Karen on May 14th. It was wonderful. It was my first time going. I think you usually hold that. Karen usually holds down the fort at those. And it was really sweet. I actually brought my son, and it was lovely seeing all of the special educators who have and students who have touched the lives of, children through the, K through 12 grades. And it was really, really heartwarming, and it's the best way I can describe it. Yeah.
Nice job at that.
You want to add anything, Ms. McDade?
Oh, just that there's never a dry eye in the house. What it ends up being is one story after another about how people within the district helped kids get from point A to point B during the year. And so it's one success story after another. And the people who are helping are, of course, often teachers and aides, but it's also, it could be anyone in the building. It could be a friend in the classroom. So it's a good evening.
Great. Do you want to continue with the book award and the art award?
Sure, I've got just lots of things that I went to, but so the book awards were the week before that, and in case you're not familiar, the idea of the book awards is at the high school, any teacher can give a book award to any student, and the reasons that they give those awards varies quite widely, from a kid who made great progress that year to a kid has a great interest in one particular subject that they might find a book on, to, just somebody who's helpful in class, lots of different reasons. And those kids, a book is purchased by the librarian with a nameplate dedicating it to that particular student, and then the books end up here in the library. So it's a great way to, add to our library in ways that are specifically of interest to our teachers and our students. It's a great way to honor kids and pay it forward at the same time. So that's another really good thing. And this was the 37th annual book awards. It's been around for a long time. And then the following week, I went to the National Arts Honor Society induction, which was a smaller group. But similar to other National Honor Societies, this honoring kids who are interested in mostly visual arts. Mm-hmm. But they had a slideshow going that showed the work of the students who were being inducted. And it was a tremendously talented group of kids, some really great work out there. So that was fun. And then Dr. Copeland and I both were able to judge at the science fair was that just last Friday? Yeah. And that's always, it was run a little bit differently this year. So it was slightly fewer kids, but the projects that we saw were really fantastic. And the other thing that I came away with is that one of the projects that I saw had to do with this particular student was growing E. coli in some Petri dishes and then measured the effect of different cleansers on the E. coli. But the materials for her experiment and the direction for it came out of our biotech program, and it was really exciting to see a very practical application of how that biotech program is, working with these students and getting them inspired.
Yeah. Yeah, I would add, it was very interesting how they did it this year. Normally, they used to just do honor students were at the science fair. And now it's all ninth graders do the science fair, and they pick the best out of the different classes that then advance to this school, I guess, best of the best science fair. So it was really good to see. Anybody else? Am I missing anything from people? I know we have the Melville show coming up, I think tomorrow, Thursday? Thursday. So reminder to attend that if you can. We got tickets last school committee meeting. So.
And the kindergarten parade. that
Oh, and the
happened.
kindergarten parade at
At
the same time.
Which happened last too.
Go elementary, right? All right, moving on, subcommittee updates. We had a district building committee meeting on May 20th. Talking a little bit about the approval of the stage 2 plan. Also finishing up the FY22 bond updates. And there was about $15,000 of asbestos removal done, right? Is that correct? And they're going to be painting the gym at PMS. I know that's a long awaited improvement from people. And I think there might have been a couple of other little things, but that would then finalize all the projects that were funded under the previous bond. And I would just repeat again, on time, under budget. So we're quite proud of that. Yeah, that was it for that. Okay. Moving on. We had the personnel subcommittee meeting that meets an executive session. You'll see the contracts under the business session. And the subcommittee on personnel voted 3-0 to forward all those contracts for full consideration by the school committee. So that's that. Dr. Vivera, staff recognition.
All right, excellent. So wait for the presentation to go up. All right, so tonight I am proud to recognize an extraordinary educator from Portsmouth High School, Miss Michelle Murtha. There is she. Miss Murtha has been named the 2027 NERI Teacher Excellence Award recipient by the National Education Association of Rhode Island. So just a little bit about this. So Miss Murtha is a special educator with more than 25 years of experience serving Portsmouth students. Throughout her career, she has dedicated herself to supporting students facing significant academic and social emotional challenges. Through exceptional instruction and relationship building, she's helped countless students reconnect with school and find success both inside and outside the classroom. This prestigious recognition was awarded, and it was a very competitive selection process conducted by NERI officers and members from across the state. As part of this honor, Michelle will travel to Washington, D.C. in February 2027 to be recognized at the NEA Foundation's Salute to Excellence in Education Gala, along with outstanding educators from across the nation. So on behalf of the Portsmouth School Department and School Committee, congratulations, Michelle. Thank you for all.
Thank you so much for the recognition, and I love my job. I really do. I know Liz is always, how about this? And Tony's like, how about this? No, I love being with the kids. I love working with the kids, especially students with special needs. The behavior students are my favorite. But I do. I've been in Portsmouth. I student taught here in Portsmouth, and I have not left because I love this community, and I really, truly love my job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're really lucky to have such
Very-
exceptional teachers. So
It's like Michelle that make our district so great.
absolutely. Thank you for coming, Michelle, and sharing that with us. Dr. Viveros, you want to do the student spotlight?
Yep, sure. So student spotlight. So the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Unified Basketball Championship was held on May 17th at Johnston and Wales campus. And following our basketball successes this year, our Portsmouth students prevailed, winning 41-40. So congratulations to our team for this victory. And Dr. Heath and Mr. Cobain are going to be leading our recognitions this evening.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but first off, again, Dr. Viveros just highlighted the success that we've had this season in basketball overall, and it was awesome. Although I got to say, I'm not super surprised that our unified team was as successful as it was this year. And what's really interesting about the way that they won is the resilience, right? So leading into the last two games, they won a difference of 3 points in the last two games, I believe. Situate was in the semifinals, and then Bishop Hendricken, I think we were beating pretty well towards the end, and they made quite the run. And I think in hearing about that conversation with the coaches and with kind of the hubbub in the school, I'm not surprised, you know, in a good way. Seeing the effort that y'all put through every single day in school and the resilience and, you know, in the halls and just everything. And I know I'm looking like Alex because we had a conversation after the semifinal game. And he was a little nervous in the hallway, you know, they had just squeaked one out over Situate and we were playing Hendricken in the finals, right? I don't know, Dr. Heath, you know, like you got this, you know, and you didn't need me to say that, like he knows that. He's had it, you know, for his entire time here. So, you know, it's been a year for us, I think, from the administrative position where we're really trying to highlight the good in this school and in this community and really trying to highlight those narratives. And like I said, I mean, what better group to represent what we want to represent here at Portsmouth High School than the guys and the girls in the back. So, you know, congratulations to y'all. And Mr. Cobain will talk about it a little bit, but we had conversations earlier in the season, and I think this just solidifies it. If you haven't seen a unified game or been to a unified game, there really is no pure aspect of sport. All the baloney that's happening with professionals and intercollegiate and even interscholastic, that all gets stripped away, you know, with the athletes and the partners and just, you know, inter schools and intrust school. It's just really heartwarming. They're doing an unbelievable job honoring the game the way that it needs to be played. So next year, because we need to bring more of that, you've kind of inspired us. We're going to have a special assembly and we're going to have a fans in the stands assembly where the whole school will come and they're going to watch a game during the school day. We're going to take a time out from teaching and learning. So sorry. But the reality is we need to highlight the things that y'all are doing on the court because we need more of that here at Portsmouth. There's a lot of it and it's growing, but I think it will grow exponentially quicker if we can show everybody the great work that y'all do. So that's things to come next year. So congratulations from me once again.
The athletic director here, but just to go back a little bit, I'm the son of a special education director myself. And over 15 plus years ago, there were 6 schools in the state that were asked to start a unified program, Portsmouth being one. And just over the bridges, I was in East Greenwich starting a similar program there. So I've seen the magic that these programs can do for a school and how they can change a culture and be an example for everyone. I've been preaching for 3 seasons now about winning is very important, but it's how we win that's the most important. And this can't be a better example of that. Through the leadership of both Coach Malacone and Coach Ritchie, it was an amazing day to watch them over at Johnson and Wales and to have such excitement amongst the team in such a tough game. It went back and forth down the stretch to the point where they were down a point, they scored the last basket, then they got a rebound and they controlled the game with 30 seconds to go. And it not only shows you that they can get to the end. To the coaches, setting up that environment where everyone is supporting one another. And it's always amazing to watch a unified program find the success that it has. Back to back, by the way, this is their second year.
Back to back.
So we're doing something right. And I would say we're doing something really right. And congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be just a part of it. And thank you. And I'd like to have the coaches come up so we can recognize the team.
I just want to say that last 30 seconds of a team of full of shooters was very difficult for us not to get the ball.
No turnover.
Program is awesome because we are unfortunately graduating 3 seniors that I want to invite back next year to play in that game. You are leaving the program in a better way than it was before you came here. Thank you, guys. Our number one, Coach Mark Malcolm. I am Donna Ritchie, and Michelle Keogh is here as well. There she is. She's our photographer. I'd like to welcome up number 1, our captain, Alex Silva, senior. Number 2,
Can I just ask, would you guys like it in front of the picture with the champs? Maybe the picture, let's do the pictures in front of the thing and then we can go to the side and get the group picture all in front of that.
you guys get
We gotta have the state champs in there.
Finch Pickerton could not be with us this evening.
Gotta drive.
Oh,
Number 3, Benjamin Wicks could also not be with us this evening.
I love that.
Number 5, Cameron Tucker. Number 10, senior Logan Rodericks.
Yeah.
Number 11, senior Braden Rodericks. Number 14, Caden Whitmarsh Patello. Number 20, Tyler Richards could not be with us this evening. Our senior partner, Jack Clark, number 13, could not be with us this evening. And last but certainly not least, number 22, Mark Sarantakis.
all right, I'm gonna get out of your way. So you can take
I'm getting in this one.
Winning is everything, but winning is fun. That's a slogan, Allie Arvin, got used by volleyball, after that we had a while back. Allie Arvin, but that's cool.
Wait a minute, everybody.
Look up here, Mark.
Share. Picture.
Good job, coach.
Look at the camera, folks. Here we go. Think you still got people shooting? Well done.
Basketball. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, congratulations again to the basketball team and with no pressure, but we're looking for a 3-peat, okay? 3-peat, right? No pressure. Thank you, folks. Mr. Tiro, is there any public comment up there? And Ms. Chandani, is there any public comment online? Nope. Okay, I don't have to read the public comment thing. Moving to the superintendent's update.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Viveros.
All right, thank you. Now for this evening's district updates. Thank you again, everyone. All right, so first off, I had the honor of recognizing 2 amazing individuals last week. Nicole Pasco, school social worker at Melville. Nicole is a deeply dedicated and skillful professional who inspires students of all backgrounds and abilities. She champions the belief that every student can learn, earning the immense respect and admiration of parents, administrators, and peers. through her active role in the community. And I announced that she'll be the 2026-27 PSD NEA Teacher of the Year. So congratulations and shout out to Nicole. And Nicole and Sonia are not here this evening because we also formally recognize them at our orientation day on the first day of staff orientation. At
And then we have the next fall. we
And then
do the
next
school
fall, we'll honor them, yes. So Sonia Medeiros, registered behavior technician at Melville. Sonia is known for her warm, friendly demeanor and exceptional level of competence in everything she does. She consistently goes above and beyond, always seeking new ways to grow and work in the best interest of our students. And I was really proud. It was definitely a full circle moment when the nominations started coming in and we started to evaluate it. And it ended up being that there were 2 staff members from Melville, and Melville's had quite a few years of not getting recognitions in these 2 areas. So very proud of these 2 individuals. I worked very closely with them as the Melville principal, and they truly are both incredible. So that was a great afternoon for us. Next up. So on May 18th, the 4th graders at Hathaway Elementary had an exciting opportunity to welcome Rhode Island Secretary of State Greg Amore for a special visit focused on civic engagement and American history. As a former social studies teacher, Secretary Amore connected wonderfully with students, sharing the importance of the important words of we the people, and teaching the students about the Constitution, freedom of speech, and the importance of respectfully sharing different opinions. He also read the book Call of Equality, and he discussed the history of voting rights in the United States. The presentation was engaging and inspiring, and our Hathaway 4th graders represented Portsmouth beautifully during the time of his visit. So thank you to that community. On Friday, May 22nd, Portsmouth High School hosted its annual science fair, showcasing the creativity, curiosity, and hard work of our students. This year's event featured the support of more than 40 community judges, including members of our school committee. So thank you for that. We are incredibly grateful for all of the volunteers giving their time and expertise to support our students in making this event a true success. And congratulations to all of the student participants. On May 14th, the Portsmouth Special Education Local Advisory Committee hosted its annual awards night at Portsmouth Middle School. The special event recognizes educators, RBTs, paraprofessionals, parents, students, and programs that have demonstrated outstanding commitment to supporting our students with special needs. The awards celebrate individuals and programs that model best practices in inclusive education. And as Ms. Kelly stated, it really truly is a heartwarming event. And I recommend that if you have not been to one of these award ceremonies, to attend one in the future. Through our Farm in Sea to School partnership, Chartwells and Gotham Greens recently visited Portsmouth Middle School to provide students with a special taste testing experience. So students had the opportunity to try Asian chicken salad wraps made with fresh lettuce provided by Gotham Greens, helping connect healthy, locally sourced ingredients to school meals and nutrition education. The event encouraged students to explore new foods, learn more about what ingredients were in each of the foods, and then provide feedback through a student poll. So experiences like these really help promote our healthy eating habits within the classroom, within our schools. And this is work that our district health advisory committee has been working on. So it's been really great. Thank you to Chartwells for that. Right, on Thursday, May 21st, Portsmouth High School celebrated several outstanding student athletes as they officially committed to continue their academic and athletic careers at the college level. Surrounded by families, coaches, teammates, and faculty, these students signed their national letters of intent and were recognized for their hard work and dedication, both in the classroom and in competition. We congratulate our student athletes on this exciting achievement and thank all of the families, coaches, and staff that supported them along the way. Portsmouth is incredibly proud of this group of students. I had the pleasure of visiting Wilbur McMahon School in Little Compton a few weeks ago. takeaway that came out of the meeting with team teachers was a need to get Little Compton students to visit our high school when the actual high school is in session. So our high school team quickly jumped into action to make this event a reality. We hosted the first of 2 tours for students from Wilbur McMahon School. During the visit, students participated in student-led tours. They visited students in classes, especially our CTE classes, and the tour concluded with Little Compton students having lunch in our cafeteria during first lunch period. And it's just a different environment for them. They're used to a very small school, small classes. And when the recommendation came to me that we really should get our 7th graders in and then our 8th graders in, it just made sense.
Is that the mascot?
No.
No, okay.
That's
Seven pop-
an AI.
Every year.
That's the mascot we would like, but that is our, yeah, it's Coop
Turning
Chandani's
that over to the,
AI mascot. So thank you for that.
that's an AI mascot.
No actual costume available.
Right, no action. So our next visit will take place this coming Friday, May 28th. And Dr. Heath, 7th grade visited first, correct? And then 8th grade will be coming. So it was a nice time. All right, so I was pleased to recently join the latest Anchored for Life video podcast alongside our outstanding grade 5 student hosts. This was an exciting moment for our Anchored for Life program as it continues to grow, giving students meaningful opportunities to build leadership, communication, and connection. I had so much fun participating in this podcast. It really might be the highlight of my year. Aiden and Cassette they were just incredible. Both of the students were so much fun. They were so engaging. The questions kept me on my toes. Then Mr. Costa put together the podcast, and he has like these images that come up as we're having conversations. They asked me the question of who my favorite celebrity would be that I would want to invite to schools. And we pitched to Tom Brady, so we're hoping that we're going to tag him on the podcast. Maybe he'll come and visit our middle school. But we have the full recording, so I'll share that out in my Friday update. But it was a really great time. So thank you to all at the middle school.
Is that an AI superintendent?
Yeah. That's what I would like to look like. And then to the left is what I looked like. A little better than my Portsmouth This Week video. The AC was on. Yeah. All right. And then May is in May, we recognize nationally Foster Care Month. It's a time dedicated of raising awareness about the hundreds of thousands of children and youth in foster care system across the United States. Established in 1988, we observe foster families, child welfare professionals, and advocates tirelessly to support children and families. So as a community, we recognize the importance of creating this caring, inclusive environment. And we just thank all of our foster families out there. This concludes my updates.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? Other than the mascot?
Here's to hope. I mean, we've got to be able to design, Heather.
All right.
In the work.
All right, moving on to our presentation this month. We have student wellness update, Ms. Charity Shea.
Yeah. Team.
And team. Oh, good.
Take it away, Charity.
Take it away, team.
And team.
And team. All right. Thank you so much for the chance to speak with you tonight and share some of the important work we're doing in the area of student well-being. I'm going to kick us off by sharing some data. This slide highlights our student well-being survey from the beginning and middle of the year across a number of areas tied to school experience and belonging. The lighter colors represent our baseline data, beginning of year data, while the darker colors show our most recent middle of year results.
Wow.
Overall, we saw really positive growth in many areas. Students reported feeling more respected by both peers and teachers, and we also saw growth in students identifying that they have a trusted adult to talk to at school. One area we're continuing to pay close attention to is students' feelings about lessons and classroom engagement. This will be an important focus area moving forward, both in this goal work, but also as we work to provide academic rigor for all students. While favorable responses increased across many categories, we also know there is still important work to do around students' feelings about peers, teachers, sense of belonging, and coming to school. This data reinforces the importance of the mental health and student support work happening across the district and helps guide where we need to continue focusing our efforts moving forward. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to Principal Little and Principal Lori, who will share some of the Tier 1 core instructional work happening at the elementary level, and then we will hear from the middle and high school.
So, Tier 1 is the foundation of our student wellbeing work at the elementary level. At Hathaway and Melville, social emotional learning and mental health literacy are embedded into everyday classroom instruction, health lessons, and our overall school culture. As MTSS schools, student wellbeing is truly at the center of everything that we do, and our PBIS practices help us create safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environments for all students. Our health curriculum is Health Smart. Health Smart is a skills-based health education program that empowers students to think, choose, and act in healthy ways. Our school counseling program is based on the CASEL competencies, CASEL, which is Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. These competencies are supported through regular check-ins, individual and group counseling sessions, and classroom lessons that are designed to help students build the social and emotional skills needed for success in school and beyond. And what this looks like changes developmentally across grade levels, but the focus is generally on emotional awareness and self-regulation. We have the use of calm down spaces, visuals, and programs like Choose Love and Conscious Discipline. Choose Love has 4 pillars that we focus on: courage, gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion in action. And Conscious Discipline is a philosophy that empowers our educators to stay calm, connect with children, and teach regulation, connection, and problem-solving skills. It is designed to reduce disruption and boost student engagement along the lines of what Charity was talking about. So, and while we're always looking at programs and we're always looking at other social emotional programs, we talked about that today at our SIT meeting. Right now, these are the core of what we are using.
And this will give you a little bit of a closer look in K-4, what our experts, our teachers are doing with our students to meet the social emotional need based on what's developmentally appropriate for the children of that age, and also what they're seeing come up in their classrooms. So in K, students learn a lot through play-based learning centers, calming spaces, games, and daily opportunities to practice emotional regulation. In grade 1, students begin building emotional vocabulary and relationship skills through social emotional lessons, classroom routines, and positive peer interactions. In grade 2, students are working on empathy, bravery, gratitude, and problem solving through role play, read alouds, and reinforced strategies supported by staff and visuals. In grade 3, the focus shifts toward self-awareness, responsibility, collaboration, and positive decision-making across all settings. And then in grade 4, students build greater independence, organization, and self-advocacy skills, while continuing to receive structured support and consistent expectations. So in addition to these classroom level supports, we also conduct social emotional screening 3 times a year using Sabers and My Sabers, tools to help us identify student needs early and respond proactively. Our target team meets bi-weekly to review all SEL data. And as principals, we meet daily with our support teams to ensure students are receiving everything that they need to be successful.
Yes.
Hi, so we use a lot of the similar programs that the elementary school has, but also for social emotional learning and mental health, our literacy are integrated into health lessons, but also our advisory lessons and our school counseling lessons for grades 5 through 8. And recently this year, we started having PLCs for the first time with all of those people at the same table, because there is a lot of overlap between the health curriculum, the school counseling curriculum, and then the advisory lessons that we do. So we've started meeting actually on a weekly basis to sort of look at where those curriculums sort of cross each other and where we can do changes for next year so that we can be efficient, but still be effective. We've also applied for and received grant funding for ramp certification. So our school counseling model, we went to the ASCA launch in the fall and we applied for a grant and we got the grant so that next year, this time in October, we would be applying for a ramp certification for our school counseling program. So we're very excited about that. We have a specific set of skills that they focus on for each grade for 5 through 8. So we do still use Choose Love, which is a program the elementary schools mentioned as well. Our advisory lessons are targeted sessions that help to foster community and support personal growth. We actually just recently had our first whole school advisory, which was really kind of cool because we can't really have like the community meetings that are at the elementary school. So what we did instead was we had one Google Meet with every advisory joining in, and we sort of celebrated the door decorating contest that we did this past month. And it was really cool because they took pictures. The coordinators of Student Life did such a lovely job. They took photos of the doors. They got messages from the teachers, and then it was almost like a slideshow where the whole school could sort of celebrate together all of the work we've been doing this year in advisory. So it was really sort of neat. We're sort of taking what the elementary has done and we're sort of building on it and sort of changing it so that it adapts well to the middle school child. We also have Common Sense Media, which is our digital citizenship lessons, which are done by our school librarian. And so those focus on empathy, coping skills, and emotional well-being. And then, as I mentioned before, our school counseling program is being developed with that goal to apply for ramp certification.
Great.
We have a target team that meets weekly, and it alternates. One week we talk about SEL concerns, and another week we talk about attendance. And again, that team has done some really fabulous work. We're looking to add 2 parent members to that team next year as part of an ePath training that we're doing with Ripen and with UConn as well.
So we have a lot of work going on, a lot of change taking place, but it's all for a positive. So you heard about the RAMP program, which is a 2-year grant for school counseling. And then we have another grant with UConn, which was connected with Dr. Veros. So we're partners with that, with Ripen. And it's all about trying to improve and maximize the student experience, but utilizing best practices. So we're on the forefront in a lot of areas. So the work that Ms. Longway has done with coordinating all of the teachers on what our students are getting exposed to so that it's more efficient is actually so that we're also on the same page for our kids. So they're getting the same message, but also making sure that everyone has their piece and it all connects and the kids can see through line for that. That's a big piece that happens in advisory as well. The advisory curriculum is laid out for the year, but then there are opportunities for us to continue to boost students. So if we see that students are not bringing their Chromebooks charged, we'll do an advisory lesson for a boost. And then we'll do a surprise day for anyone who has a Chromebook that's 80% or higher, gets recognized for that. Those happen in advisory, so we can respond to the needs throughout the school year. So the team that meets weekly is really important because we are gathering the pulse of the school from all our different perspectives and reacting to that. So.
Great.
Excellent. And last but not least is the high school. So similar to the elementary and the middle school, we're following a lot of the similar protocols, specifically with like advisory lessons. At the high school, to be 100% transparent and honest, we talk about a lot about the great things that are going on. And in student well-being, there are definitely some positives going on. This is an area that we've tried to find our footing on in the last couple of years. So student well-being scores via survey works and all reports by students and families in the community are positive. But to say that we're like figured out in the area of student well-being and having an organized curriculum, that's not where we're at right now. So that being said, there are definitely positives that are happening. Our advisory lessons, we do administer advisory lessons that are targeted to students' ILPs or individualized learning plans. Part of the conversation this school year, administratively and with our school counselors, is the idea of now that we have a vision of a graduate with some specific dispositions that we'll be targeting, looking to revamp our ILP process to really target individual students in a meaningful way. Right now, we use an online platform. It's great. The state requires that we have an online platform, but it feels a little bit like a checkbox for students in regards to like career inquiry and things of that nature. And we'd love to kind of streamline that a little bit more with work-based learning opportunities, opportunities for students to get some real world experiences, and use that as kind of a guiding post, if not for anything else, to help students on their way as they move towards their diploma. So a little bit of revamp needed in that area, but advisory lessons are happening. With our school counseling program, this is probably our area of biggest growth out of the four things on the left-hand side of the slide. Our school counselors have really started to deliver a lot more tier 2 groups, which for people that aren't super familiar with MTSS, in that process, it's basically small pullouts for students that might need a little bit of extra support. So this slide speaks specifically to tier 1 and the things that happen individually in classrooms and kind of with every student. With tier 2, we really worked hard to target students that might need a little bit of extra boost and get our counselors involved in those conversations, right? We seem to have a ton of comfort in the area of post-secondary advising and things of that nature. That's a little bit newer of an area for our staff, which they're doing an admirable job with. But we're continuing to work with Charity and her department to really get that to where we're looking to be as a district and at the high school level specifically. Rachel's Challenge was a program that started here when I arrived on scene in the fall of 2023. It was a district initiative that was rolling out kind of at the same time. Rachel's Challenge is a program that was built off of a foundation that was established after the first casualty of the Columbine tragedy. People that were connected with her about kindness and connectedness and belonging and looking out for one another. Program has definitely, done a great job here at the high school unifying, but it's lost a little bit of momentum, I would say, in the last year and a half or so. So really looking again to either determine if Rachel's Challenge is something that we're using moving forward, or if it's something that we just didn't find a fit with. And to that end, having a little bit more choose love. I know the elementary and the middle school go with Rachel's Challenge is kind of our program in that capacity. But looking to see if that's, like I said, got the staying power and is it resonating with our students the way that we're looking for it too. And then finally, our support and report program. I've talked about this before. We do this annually here at the high school where we give pictures of students to all of the faculty members on a digital slide deck and ask faculty members to identify students that they feel more connected with. And the prompt we use is somebody that you'd be comfortable having a personal conversation with about what you did on the weekend, what they did on the weekend, etc. Going a little bit above and beyond that regular teacher-student relationship. And the idea is to find students, not necessarily that fill their bingo card. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the students that have nobody, right? And figuring out how we can connect those students with like-minded faculty members or faculty members that maybe they have classes with or support professionals that they see on a regular basis, and just tapping those individuals on the shoulder and saying, hey, this is a student that, can you kind of make a connection with them? And whether that means meeting with them once a week, meeting with them once every other week, touching base with them, once every couple of weeks. We really don't put too finite of a line in regards to what teachers need to do. That's what they feel as though is necessary. And we check in with them on a regular basis to make sure that those students have eyes on them, have those supports, and feel that same kind of wraparound that we try to do for all of our students here. So those are some of the different programs, as I said, areas that are definitely in progress. We're proud of the progress we're making, but moving forward, definitely you'll see some high school goals related to certain specific things around well-being and continue to grow in that area.
I think in alignment with that, especially with the support and rapport, our student life coordinators have really taken that initiative by the horns and work to identify those students, make connections with those students, and to see, our deans of student life be the ones that these kids are reaching out to for help and for support is a really awesome thing. Just this Friday, we had our junior prom, and I was holding back the masses that wanted to scoot out a little bit early. But when it was time to go, I was standing there with Ms. Zell, one of our student life coordinators, and just about every student gave Ms. Zell a hug, gave her a high five, chatted her up on the way out. They were all really excited that the coordinator of student life was there, making those connections. So it's really like across all facets. It's not just how can our teachers make better connections, but how can our student life coordinators, how can we all better connect with our students? And another thing that is really important here, like Rachel's Challenge is one initiative that we have for students, but we have so many clubs and activities. And for students' well-being and their belongingness to school, like finding their niche is really important. And that isn't quantified here, but there's the vast array of opportunities that we have for students to intermingle with our faculty and with each other around their initiative, their interests is really, really important. And we have a ton of those opportunities for kids, and we're always looking to elicit more. So, is there room for growth in student well-being? Of course. But I think that we are working as a faculty really hard at this initiative and trying to make sure that our students do feel connected to the school. They do feel safe and they do come in every day wanting to learn and wanting to connect with people that are here. Thank you.
Okay. We'll say thank you. It's always nice to have friends when So this tier 1 work is so critical, and it really creates the foundation for the more targeted tier 2 and tier 3 supports that we're continuing to build for students who need additional intervention. This slide highlights the tiered system of supports we are implementing to better address student well-being through structured evidence-based interventions. At the tier 2 level, support is provided through targeted small groups focused on specific student needs, with progress monitoring built into the process. The primary providers of these interventions are our coordinators of student life and our school-based mental health team. For students requiring greater intensity, tier 3 interventions are provided by our coordinators of student life, our school-based mental health team, and sometimes potentially our therapeutic academic program teachers. These groups are intentionally smaller and designed for students who need more intense support. You can also see the wide range of group topics already being implemented across the district, including emotional regulation, anxiety, stress management, social skills, attendance, and problem solving, just to name a few. It is important to note that we are not a clinical setting, and all of the intervention work we provide is school-based and designed to support students within the educational environment. For students who require a higher level of clinical or therapeutic support, we work closely with families to help connect them with outside therapists, agencies, and community-based services. The goal of this work is to move beyond reactive support and continue building a more consistent and proactive system for students. Next slide. This year, Rhode Island enacted new legislation requiring districts to establish a student safety and behavioral health committee focused on proactive, non-punitive approaches to student mental health, behavior, and school safety. The committee includes representation from administration, that's me, certified staff. We have 2 social workers, one at the elementary and one at the middle level, and then we also have our coordinator of student services at the high school level. And it requires that we have 2 non-certified staff. We have 2 registered behaviors technicians, one at the elementary level and one at the high school level. And we are responsible for reviewing behavioral health and discipline practices, assessing available supports, identifying needed improvements, making recommendations to the school committee through the policy subcommittee, and reporting our work to you annually. This year, our committee has started a policy review, and we have some recommendations that will go to the policy subcommittee in the fall. We have already developed a tracking system to capture threat assessment and risk screening data to be able to identify possible patterns and trends. And we have identified some potential professional development focus areas for next year. This work aligns closely with our broader efforts around student well-being. So it's a good fit and good timing that we're required to have this committee.
Good.
Okay. On the less good side, as I opened the federal grants a few weeks ago to begin that really fun process, I learned that Portsmouth has been identified as being significantly disproportionate in the area of suspensions involving Black students. On this slide, you can see the data that led to that identification. Over a 3-year period, the district's risk ratio remained consistently elevated, increasing to 8.34 this year. This number indicates that Black students are being suspended at a significantly higher rate than their peers, which requires both reflection and action on our part. As a result, the district is required to conduct a root cause analysis, which our administrative team has started, review policies and practices, identify action steps, and allocate 15% of our IDEA-B federal special education funds to support the work. We are also required to publicly report on this information and the steps the district is taking in response. Our focus moving forward is not just compliance, but continuing to build more consistent, equitable, and supportive practices that will reduce the risk ratio for our Black students in the area of suspensions through providing professional development to all faculty and staff. Our last slide. Thank you. This slide focuses on some key recommendations for the 26-27 school year as we continue strengthening student support systems across the district. Our professional development work will focus on culturally responsive practices, trauma-informed practices, conscious discipline, executive functioning instruction, mental health intervention, and creating more inclusive and accessible spaces for students. We're also continuing to grow the capacity of our school-based mental health team to support tier 1, 2, and 3 interventions, while continuing to build programming at the elementary level and refine the work that's already happening at the middle and high school levels. Overall, this work is really about continuing to build consistent, proactive supports for students while making sure staff feel equipped to respond to the growing range of student needs that we're seeing across our schools every single day. I do want to just take a second as I end to recognize and thank our support staff, our teachers, our school-based mental health providers, coordinators and administrators who are doing this work every day. None of this happens without the relationships, flexibility, and commitment of the people in our buildings who continue to show up for our students in meaningful ways. And with that, I will open for any questions that you have.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments?
I have a nitty gritty question.
Okay.
And that's the Sabre screen. What form does that take? Is it a multiple choice test? Is it something? What is it?
The questions ask students to rate how they feel on kind of a Likert scale.
Okay. And does it stay the same from elementary through high school? Or
Yeah, the questions are they're age appropriate.
Right.
They change over time, but they get at the same.
the form of
Right.
format of
It helps us identify students who might be at risk for certain areas.
All right. It's a lot of great work. It's really
It's a lot of.
a lot of work.
A lot of work. I would say okay, COVID did a number on everybody, but I think one of the positive things that has come out of COVID is just the focus on social and emotional health. I mean, having served on this committee now a decade, honestly, this is the first time I remember seeing such a comprehensive overview of really trying to unite our K-12 efforts. And I know it's in the strategic plan, but I would just really like to applaud that because I think it gives parents kind of something to hold on to, sort of what's out there. And now you can sort of say, where are our gaps? I mean, I applaud the high school for saying, we're not here yet. We need to work on this, right? I mean, and this first chart here, can you go to that first chart again? That's pretty astonishing to me because I remember when we were working on our strategic plan and that do you have an adult to talk to? I mean, our numbers were dismal in that area where you didn't have students saying, oh yeah, I feel like there's an adult in the building I really could connect with. And just seeing that growth, I mean, that's pretty amazing. It's very exciting. I'm a little bit blown away by it. So, and I know that it's a little bit more work for teachers to pick up the phone and call home or reach out and all that. But I just think this is where we're seeing some of that payoff there. So just kudos to you for that. And really happy to see that, like in math and science and English, where there's a lot of focus on alignment, it's really starting to take root here too. Just big round of applause. Other comments, questions? I mean, I know there's more to do, but it's very exciting. It's only year one of the strategic plan too. So thank you for you and your team for all that information. I think that's really wonderful. And it might be really great to have that slideshow posted up on the website for people to look at,
Yeah, we
if they need that.
typically do link all of our presentations, so we'll make sure to do that.
And we have like a social emotional page on the web?
We
Not really sure.
we have our MTSS pages, and I'm sure that we can find an area on your site.
I feel like this ought to be highlighted somehow,
Sure, we can work on that.
just to kind of let people know what they could look for and if they have questions and
Sure.
that. Okay, now on to, well, thank you. And I didn't want to shut down questions or discussions. Not seeing any. All right. Motion for approval of school committee minutes, please.
Move for the approval of school committee meeting minutes of May 12th and the executive session meeting minutes of May 12th.
Second.
Any discussions, additions, corrections? All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous, 7-0. Before we do the business thing, I think we have some parents here that are looking at G, right? I mean, how
We do.
we do? Yeah, some others? Okay, well, I was going to suggest that I think maybe we move that one up top
Sure.
So that, people don't have to stay for the whole meeting if they don't want to. Sorry, I got put at the bottom. So if we want to, if it's okay with the committee, maybe move that one up front. So can I have a motion for discussion, please, for item G?
I move for discussion of the agenda item request regarding third grade class size discussion for 2026, 2027 school year.
Second.
Second for discussion. This is a discuss only item. We had agenda request here from Ms. Caitlin Donahue. I'm assuming that's you, right? We haven't met yet. Welcome. Something that the superintendents let us know about, but we thought it was a good thing to have a discussion on it. So if you don't mind, why don't you kind of kick it off, and then we'll maybe turn to superintendent, have questions. If there's anybody else in the audience that's wanting to talk on this, all you have to do is state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Thank you for moving. So good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, Superintendent Veros, and members of the community. My name is Caitlin Donahue. I live at 147 Lawrence Drive here in Portsmouth. And I'm here this evening to address a concern I've had all year regarding large class size in our current second grade class. I'm a parent of a second grader. I also come to you as someone who deeply cares about public education. Prior to becoming a parent, I worked as a public school teacher, principal, and now as a university professor in the School of Education. I didn't even know how big the class was until the light touch picture came home and I could physically count the kids in the class photo. And over time, I came to learn that there was an unexpected influx of second grade students over the summer, which left little time to reorganize staff and create space for an additional classroom, which in my opinion, the enrollment more than justified. I also learned that meetings occurred between district leadership and the teachers union, and that an overage stipend per student was accepted for teachers whose classrooms exceeded the cap. I fully support paying teachers more. In fact, I believe teachers deserve significantly greater compensation for the work they do every day. What I do not support is stretching our educators and our students beyond what research and best practice tell us is appropriate, especially in the early elementary years. As I reviewed the district's strategic priorities and listened really intently tonight to the great reports, I realized that this concern directly connects to nearly every goal in the district plan. So first, regarding academic rigor and student outcomes. As someone with expertise in early childhood education, I can tell you that the research around class size in grades K-3 is remarkably consistent. Such studies as Tennessee's STAR project found that students in smaller class sizes in the primary grades experience stronger academic growth, especially in literacy and mathematics, with benefits that persisted long-term. Educational researchers and organizations, including the National Education Association, commonly identify approximately 15 to 18 students as ideal in grades K-3. While experts consider anything above 20 to 22 students in the early grades to begin limiting opportunities for individualized instruction, intervention, and relationship building. And we've heard in every presentation tonight the importance of relationship building and the great work that we're doing in that area. Portsmouth contractual caps are currently 23 students in grade 2 and 25 students in grade 3, numbers that already exceed what many educational researchers consider optimal for early learning. Class size is not just a number. Every additional student changes how much time a child receives with a teacher. And we're talking about 7 and 8-year-olds in foundational literacy and math years. Second, this issue also impacts staff wellness and professional sustainability. At this time, I want to be very clear that this concern is not a criticism of our grade 2 teachers. In fact, I want to publicly recognize and thank them. Despite the large class size, our second grade teacher demonstrated incredible professionalism, care, and dedication to our children every single day. Families notice the extra effort, the personal phone calls home, the individualized postcards to students, and intentional relationship building activities, despite overwhelming workloads at times. Third, this is fundamentally a student well-being issue. In early elementary school, children need more than academic instruction. They need connection, belonging, and access to adults who truly know them. I feel like this is also connected to what we've been talking about this evening. These oversized classrooms reduce these opportunities. Our children aren't able to receive as much small group instruction, intervention support, conflict resolution, and overall individualized social emotional support. Those supports are not extras in the 2nd and 3rd grade. They are part of foundational health and development of our children and long-term planning for their school success. As this issue impacted both elementary schools in Portsmouth, many families received little to no direct communication explaining the unexpected enrollment increase, the decision-making process, the agreed-upon overage stipends, and most importantly, what additional supports would be put in place for students and teachers in these oversized classrooms. And finally, this is also facilities and long-term concern. Several current 2nd grade sections are already at or above cap, and additional enrollment changes are still occurring. This makes clear that this is not simply an isolated school level issue, but a district-wide planning concern that deserves proactive attention now before these students enter the 3rd grade. I understand that enrollment fluctuations and budget realities are challenging, but we cannot normalize oversized classrooms in our earliest grades by simply raising the cap. Our children deserve the individualized attention that early learners need. Our teachers deserve working conditions that allow them to sustain the level of excellence our community expects. And our families deserve transparency and proactive planning moving forward. Thank you all so much for your time, consideration, and your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you. You don't have to stand at the podium the whole time, but feel free to come back up with any questions or comments, right? Same thing for the other audience members. Dr. Viveras, do you want to, I know when we were setting this agenda, you said, well, you'd want to share some of your ideas on this.
I actually have a few slides that I'd like to share that outline the process that's going to be taken. So perfect.
Can you scooch that up there?
All right, so the following slides include our current FY27 enrollment data points for grades 3 through 8, some contractual obligations that we can discuss, and a contingency plan to ensure that classroom stability. So just forward to the next slide. All right. So when looking at our enrollment projections for next year, I've included families who have already notified us that they'll be leaving, along with any registrations that we may have up to this point. So in grade 3, so this is our current 2nd grade, in grade 3 for next year, we currently have 166 students with an average of 24 students per class and a class size contractual cap of 25 students. This gives us 7 seats before reaching our cap of 25 and 14 seats if we were to execute the portion of our teacher contract that allows us to exceed the class size by 1 student. For comparison purposes, I wanted to take a look at our broader projected district data for next year. So grade 3 has 166 students across 7 sections. Grade 4 is in a more comfortable position at about 23 students per class. At the middle school, we only have 6 sections per grade. So we see class sizes that are ranging between 24 to 26 students. So next slide, please. So now to focus on the current agenda item, which is the incoming 3rd grade cohort. Here's a plan that my team and I have been working on. This is a phased approach. Phase 1 is our monitoring phase, and this is where we are currently. Beginning in July, we are going to be moving into weekly enrollment cycles, cycle reviews, which we've been doing for years. In my prior role as a deputy superintendent, I was overseeing registration as well. So during that weekly phase, we will continue to monitor our class sizes. The guiding rule here is simple. If enrollment remains at 25 students per class, there is no need to open an additional section per our current teacher contract. Once we start to reach 25 students, we begin looking across both schools to determine the best available placement for incoming students and families based on overall capacity and space. And this is the process that we typically go through each year. Yes, this past August, 3 weeks, 2 weeks prior to the start of the school year, we were seeing registration numbers that just came in for our 2nd grade that were out of the ordinary in the This would be my 6th year overseeing registration, and I had never seen this influx of students before. And it did require thoughtful conversations with our school principals, assessment of supplies and materials, and then a conversation that led to discussing and negotiating some overages with our 2nd grade classrooms. So at this time, we're able to go over by 1 in class size. So our class size is 25 for 3rd grade next year. The current contract, just so that we are all clear, we are able to go up 1 to 26 students. So that gives us 14 possible spaces right now. Next slide, please. So phase 2 is going to be what I'm considering our capacity response phase. If we're edging close to 26, so the 26 students, and again, that's with that 1 student overage, we will open another section. So I would like to make that decision by August 1st so that we can have our plan in motion. The primary constraint in this situation is Hathaway's physical footprint. We do not have space for an additional classroom in that building. So because of that, if it's looking like we're going to have 26 students per class in 3rd grade, a new section will be opened at Melville School. So at that point, all new grade 3 enrollees will be assigned to Melville. We'll invite 3rd grade families who live in the Melville district but currently attend Hathaway, because we met our cap at Melville, so we had to send students over to Hathaway. We'll have them consider returning to their home school voluntarily. And I do not want to require this. We have not required any movement with decisions that we made as a district, because most of these students are our military families who are already dealing with a great level of transition in their lives. So that would be the steps that we would take. And then next slide, please. Phase 3 involves looking at our long-term plan, as Dr. Donahue had mentioned, for this cohort. We're seeing that this is not simply a 1-year spike in enrollment. This is a larger cohort, and it's going to be moving through our grades throughout the district. So as these students progress into middle school, we're going to need to be prepared to carry that additional section forward. So currently we have 7 sections, so 7 classrooms of every grade up to grade 4. Once the students reach 5th grade, we only have 6 sections. So if these numbers stay the same, it will require us to create a bubble classroom once these students reach grade 5. This most likely will carry through all middle school grades. So similar to bubble classrooms that we've had in the past, it would just every year, it would change the grade that the cohort would increase the bubble. Next slide, please. So to close out on a high note, when reviewing our STAR data for grades K through 4 across the district, 2nd grade, our current 2nd grade, closed a massive gap over the course of this academic year, climbing by 25 percentage points in our STAR reading assessment data. And it was the greatest growth of all 5 levels that we're assessing at the elementary level in STAR. And 13 percentage points in our STAR math assessment. Shout out to 1st grade that led in the most growth for math, increasing 26 percentage points.
Wow.
So thank you, Dr. Copeland. That concludes my update.
So not to repeat what you said, but maybe just to quickly summarize, if what I'm hearing you say is that by July, you'll take a hard look at the numbers, and if we're coming close to the cap, that's when you're going to consider opening up another classroom starting August 1.
Correct. And that's the process.
It's not in the budget.
Correct.
And it's about probably $100,000 a year to open up another classroom, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay. Mr. Ferber.
What I thought, is it Donahue? What I thought I heard you say was, I don't know if you use the word optimal, but maybe an optimal classroom size is closer to 18 or 19. And we're talking 25, 24. Yeah, so we're pretty, I've been on the school committee for about 14 years. And when I started on the school committee, I always wondered, what is the appropriate size? And I never heard numbers below 22, 23. And I tried doing some research on it, and most of what I read implied that, 22, 23 was perfectly satisfactory. And you're saying that it's really not. It's closer to 18 or 19.
So that Tennessee Star research study that I referenced when I was speaking is sort of the gold standard in class size. It's one of the only longitudinal studies done on class size, K to 2. So their data says 15 to 18, along with the National Association of Teachers. We're pretty far off of that right now in Portsmouth as is, which is why this class size is concerning as well. There's a lot of data to say classes that are too small are just as detrimental, right? So we can always look at data, but truly the best studies out there, or the best study on this topic is that Tennessee STAR study. So, and the other part I was just wondering that I wanted to address in the monitoring phase, we have our teachers right now, and we have our principals right now in the building. And if we are going to potentially open up another section, I'd like an action step in the monitoring be that Principal Little lead her grade level teachers and get their input on splitting to a 5th section, so that it's not a panic in August if we have to split the classrooms.
So I'm sorry, just to reiterate, we would not be opening a section at Hathaway. We would be opening a section at Melville, and those conversations are taking place. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking at the data of enrollment last year, like I noted this, and it's not, there are large classes. This is we're focusing a lot on this particular class, but there were other kind of larger ratios. But then there is a Melville K that has 16 students per class, and first grade, which has 15 students per class. So is that where the space would be shifted, or like kind of knowing that that might be a smaller cohort moving up? Like,
So as far as like physical space of a classroom?
or like teacher, like, I mean, that's very, I don't know. I just was thinking like some over 25, it's not, this isn't the only grade that has that large size. So taking 2 different grades, it's like per class. So you have a lot fewer students like at Melville in kindergarten and first grade. And I was trying to ask about.
Yeah, I think that this is certainly a larger discussion that we can have as far as classroom sizes in the contractual language. We actually have the contract up on our business agenda today. But when we're looking at the current setup of our district, we have our Melville district and our Hathaway district, and we currently try to have students attend their home school district as much as possible. And so what we do is we have students placed in the class until we reach that class size cap. And so for example, at Melville this year with that 2nd grade, when we reached our 24 cap, all students that registered that were Melville district were sent to Hathaway to start to fill those seats. But you're right, there are times when we do have more students living in one of our, school district areas more so than the other. And I think that this could be a bigger conversation about at some point starting to look at both Melville and Hathaway and possibly redistricting grade levels so that we have a pre-K 1 school and a 2, 3, 4 school, and have both schools accepting students from both neighborhoods. This does take away that small, local neighborhood school feeling, but in a small district like this, that really does make sense so that we're not seeing gaps like that within the classes. So that's.
Does research, I know it's kind of not really what we're talking about here, but does research show like these early learning schools and let's call it an upper elementary or whatever, that they're better? Or
Throughout the state, certainly there are districts that have their schools set up that way. I think as a small district, it is time for us to start looking at that. I think that we can service students more comprehensively. I think that if we were to shift to that model, we may even be able to free up some space, especially for like an early years learning area, so that we can possibly start looking at additional preschools. But again, this would have to be a bigger conversation.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I also know that you guys are on top of looking at enrollment numbers, that they really do that, and maybe that's just something we need to think about, because I think, and again, sort of my experience along with Fred's has been, kindergarten had the lowest, 1 and 2 had 21, 22, I think, and then 3 went all the way up more, and then 4, 5, and 6, you're at that 25. So I don't know. I mean, one of the things I admire about the union is that they really also try and really look at fairness in terms of workloads. And I mean, I don't know if we all of a sudden made the incoming 3rd grade classrooms much smaller, like maybe they average 15 versus the 2nd or the 4th. I don't know if we added in one, I don't know.
Right. I think then we would have to look at all of our grades that have a similar class size. And that would be a huge financial impact to our budget.
But what I am hearing you say is that, and maybe maybe something to think about as a committee or a district, is maybe we're not even looking at the overage. Maybe if we're coming close to the class cap, without going if we're 1 over, then it's like, does it make sense to do a whole classroom?
It's not been the practice.
It's not been the practice. Yeah.
In your comments, you recognized part of our problem, which is budgetary. I mean, the push. It'd be great if we could add more teachers. I'd be all for that. But it's not easy to accomplish because we have to fight with the town. I shouldn't use the word fight, but we have to cooperate with the town as much as possible to keep our costs down. And so to negotiate for the class sizes that we have enables us to keep our need for additional teachers down. Your position would be, we need at least a couple more teachers.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, which is what parents need to speak up and tell the town council.
Well, that's what I was getting to. And not only that, but you're a university professor in Rhode Island or
in Bridgewater.
Ride should hear this too, because I'm sure that the school districts throughout the state have the same issues that we have.
They do, and I don't want to be the face of redistricting or.
Right.
I don't, that's.
Right.
But yes, and I did get some copies of teacher contracts locally. Middletown is really working hard, it seems, to keep their numbers down, K-3.
They've also had a real decline in student enrollment, which it makes it easier.
Students.
Yeah.
Should have some tax dollars there too. And if this cohort, and I understand the pull and all of the things that you're probably balancing that I don't know about. But if this class is going to stay large and ride it out at cap or maybe 1 over, as a parent, I would love to hear that you're going to allocate some resource to those classrooms. And I haven't heard that yet as a possible solution. Doesn't have to be at the weight of a full-time teacher, but there have to be creative ways where we can still provide our students small group instruction, where we can give a little bit of a break to these teachers. And I haven't heard one complaint, but you can just tell. You can tell that it's a stretch.
So, yeah, and so Dr. Donahue, this year we did allocate, and maybe Mrs. Little and Mrs. Laurie could speak to that, but we did reallocate some of our general school aides to support these cohorts. So
that's exactly what we did. We have at Melville, we have 6 general.
You know what? I don't know if the microphone can pick you up there.
It's really just what we've just talked about. We can come up here and
Sure.
say the same. So this year, when we saw the cohorts coming in, we did look at what do we have for resources? We have 6 general school aides at Melville and we have 8 at Hathaway. Typically, they're spread between our youngest learners, which is K and 1. But given that our first grade numbers were a little so smaller, we allocated that support to second grade. And that's where, so there is an additional adult in the classroom for about half the day.
Oh, okay.
And many times our second grade teachers have said, we're all set right now. We don't need this additional support if the younger grades have needed that. So as they've gotten more comfortable with their classes.
And that's what we ran into. We did not do it with every second grade classroom. We talked about this today at our school improvement team meeting. We did do it with one in particular who really wanted the extra support. But the other teachers didn't want that extra support. Or felt they didn't need it. And I think part of what, correct me if I'm wrong, because you were there, Caitlin, but I think part of what at least one teacher was saying was, you know, when they start to get in their groove and they have their students and they start to know their students and they do what they do, it definitely takes more time and it takes more effort. You're right, all of that. But I think that was their comfort place. And they said, no, it's okay. We know where they are. We know they're in kindergarten or we know they're wherever. And they stayed there. But I did have one teacher take us up on that who had during their intervention time. And it was very helpful for her. So we have that we can look at again when we look at grade 3 if we need to. That's one resource that we do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, again, I would just say I appreciate you bringing this issue up and having a very thoughtful discussion, and for Dr. Viveras laying out your kind of thoughts and planning. I think that's helpful for people to know that come July, that's when we advocate, right? For that. Are there any other, yes, come to the podium, just say your name and address for the record.
92 Water Street.
I'm sorry, I got to do it at the podium.
92 Water Street.
Thank you.
Can you just clarify again? I have a hard time hearing, sorry. So coming into second grade this year, the cap for the students per class
Was 24.
Okay.
With the ability to raise it by 1 student. And then when we got close to mid-August and we had that surge, that's when we had discussions with the union about going to a 26th student in some of the classes.
So are we gonna try not to do that next year?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Right.
So it'll be 25.
So it's 25 with the addition because the class size actually increases by 1. So instead of looking at it at 24 to 25, now we're at the 25 to 26. So as soon as we fill all of those 25 seats and we start adding the 26th, which again is supported by the contract.
Yeah.
Then we would start looking at opening a classroom at Melville.
And the contract is just this year, or is it like
It's a 3-year contract.
When does that expire?
We're actually voting on the new contract tonight.
Yeah, we're voting tonight on the new contract.
Oh, are those numbers changing?
They are not.
Yeah. And I do think the effort is not to get to cap, right? It's just, we have and it's a wonderful addition to the district. We have a lot of military families moving in and out. And so, you know, some year we might have a bulge in kindergarten or a bulge in 7th grade. It's just, we've always had bubble classes go through and they don't necessarily stay constant. It might be year to year.
Well, and I think
it's not an unusual thing for Portsmouth that you see a spike one year and then it might go down a bit because we might have 4 families moving out onto their next assignment, you know.
And we've already.
Little Compton's.
For the high school area.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
But, and again, the numbers that I shared with you are already the projections for next year. So that is already bringing us to 24 students.
Per class.
Per class, instead of the 25 and 26 that we are seeing. That includes some enrollments and that includes quite a few families who'll be leaving us and have already notified us.
Because of duty stations, yeah, like our neighbor.
And again.
Did that answer your question? Sorry.
I just
Okay.
need to clarify.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
I know you're saying you're looking forward to, you know, things are really being watched closely to starting another classroom. So I just was kind of confused on why that didn't happen, but you said that's why, because it was
last minute.
Yeah.
And just while we're talking about this, because the housing situation is so tight in Portsmouth, for people who are moving into the district, we know that some families might move in September or October. You can go ahead and register your kids now so that we don't have these surprises early. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but what the district does is they say, okay, you're moving into Portsmouth, your lease starts September 1 or whatever. You can register now. You just write a check for the first quarter, and then when you show us your lease, they rip it up. They don't even cash the check. So what we're trying to do is encourage people to register early so that the superintendent doesn't get caught with these late August kind of surprises, which make it hard to maneuver.
Is Pam Martin communicating that? Else like that?
Pam Martin, yes, we work closely with Pam. And again, so she's
The
the
military
military
liaison.
liaison, and yeah, we work very closely with Pam. And just the process that I've reviewed today, just so that the community knows, this is a process that we were already working on this. We weren't formally presenting on it. I think that feedback from this evening, certainly as a district and as our schools, we could have done a better job of communicating additional supports that were being put in place, because it was clear that that may not have been shared. But just to reiterate, if we're getting close to the cap, that's just something that's been happening for years. All of my time as the principal at Melville, there was always like one or two students that kind of snuck in, and we had to all of a sudden pay a teacher overage. That is not an uncommon practice in this district. If it is a practice that the committee is looking to change, then we need to have additional conversations. But right now, we'll continue with the work that we're doing. Again, this class has been on our radar. We already had discussions of a plan, and we will execute the plan if needed.
Awesome.
Thank you. And thank you to the parents as well.
Thank you. Other last chance for comments. All right. Other communications on this, please forward to the superintendent. I know she would be interested in hearing. You know what I'm wondering? Just because of other people's time here, maybe we should move our discussion about our school committee meeting and time schedule down to the very bottom.
Okay.
And maybe do the contracts and the policy, and then we end up with that. Are people okay with that? Because that might take a little time. So let's go B, please.
So I move for discussion and action on B, NEA Portsmouth contract 2026 to 2029.
Second.
For discussion, Dr.
Great.
Viveris?
Dr. Copeland. So after several months of collaborative negotiations, I'm pleased to share that our teachers union and our school committee negotiation subcommittee have approved to move the contract provided in your backup forward to the full committee. This agreement represents a fair and reasonable settlement for both the school department and our teachers. Mr. Dioro has a fiscal impact statement. Would you like for him to review that?
I think so. I think that we normally put that in the public record, don't we? Or do we just submit it?
I think we submit it, but I'm happy to just quickly.
Maybe a quick review and then we'll vote.
Sure. So this is again required by Rhode Island law. So the top section shows you the fiscal impact from the new contract. These are year-over-year incremental cost increases. For the first year, it's a 2.5% raise, and the second year it's a 2% raise, and the third year it's a 3% raise. Those were the only financial impacts in the new contract. There are, of course, attached pension costs, TIA, defined contribution costs, and Medicare taxes. In the first year, the incremental costs are $576,600, and the second year it's $489,766. And the third and final year is $757,946. On the bottom section, while not required to be disclosed, we have an additional disclosure, which is the increase to teacher compensation related.
Ms. Chandani, can you roll that down? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, these are step movement changes that would increase compensation not related to raises. The top part is the raises only. So if you want to know what total compensation changes are for each year, you would add those two numbers together.
All right. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of the contract? Any opposed? Unanimous 7-0. I would just like to thank the union for negotiations, and I'm really glad that we have this settled before the summer holidays and we don't have to negotiate in August. So it's wonderful news. And thank you for that too. All right. C, please.
I move for discussion and action on the contract for the principal of Portsmouth High School.
Second.
Dr. Viveras.
Thank you, Dr. Copeland. So the contract before you this evening is for our next high school principal. Mr. Michael Monahan is an exceptionally qualified, relationship-centered school leader who has proven his leadership capacity as a high school administrator. He brings a deep instructional leadership, mastery over complex school operations, and a decorated track record of school-wide achievements, including winning the State Assistant Principal of the Year Award in 2022. The proposed contract has been reviewed and approved to move forward by our personnel subcommittee.
Any questions? All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous 7-0. Mr. Moynihan.
And
The podium and introduce yourself to
as
the.
you can see, we like to have our administrators up at center of attention. Okay, welcome.
Welcome to Portsmouth, and please introduce yourself to the Portsmouth community.
I had been here before a few years back, so I'm very familiar with the district. I just gotta say, and I'm not saying this to gain any points, but this has been the most pleasant school committee meeting I've been to. I've learned so much, I feel like I'm a leg up for July. Yeah, I've been an administrator for a while. You know, what I've in a thorough interview process that I made it, and I'm honored to have made it through that. And not only, you know, it's been 8 years since I've been here, and change is tough, you know, but through that process, I learned a lot about where the school is, where the school's going, what the district's all about. And today's events that I just watched this evening kind of echoed all of that, which is pretty cool. I'm honored to, you know, jump in and keep pushing along the things that are going well and see what I can do to add a little bit of my flavor. I'm really excited.
Oh, welcome aboard. We're happy to have you. You have a roof. All right, excellent. We are tabling D for our next meeting, and moving to E, please.
I move for discussion and action on the contract renewal for the principal.
Were we tabling? I'm sorry, is it C?
No, that's C is high school
D.
principal.
Okay, all right, okay.
So E, discussion, I'm moving to discussion and action on the contract renewal for the principal of the Portsmouth Middle School. I don't know who he is, but.
Oh, right. None of us do.
Dr. Viveras.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I have it in my notes as D. So the contract before you is for Dr. Jay Masterson. This is Dr. Masterson's first 3-year renewal, and we are very excited to have him back with us for another 3 years and hopefully beyond. The proposed contract has been reviewed and approved to move forward by a personnel subcommittee.
3-0. All right, any questions? No? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous 7-0. I just have to say how personally thrilled I am with the progress at the middle school, and you deserve a lot of credit for that, and you deserve a lot of credit for moving our school safety stuff forward. So I personally am very, very happy to have you here to keep that momentum going. So thank you.
I appreciate the confidence that the committee has put in me, especially the leadership team with Dr. Kenwood at first, and obviously Dr. Rose and her team. We are a very collaborative district leadership team, and that's what I want to be a part of. And that permeates through the middle school. We try to be collaborative and consensus driven with all of our decision making on behalf of all of our students. It's been a great ride. We still have a lot of work to do.
And now you have a capital plan to work on.
About the bond.
Yes, yes.
Thank you all for this.
Thank you. Ms. McDade, moving on to policy item F.
All right, I move for discussion of policy JE, student attendance and truancy. And this is our second read. So this has come before this committee before. We took it back to our subcommittee.
Oh, wait a minute, I need a second, right?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Second?
yeah.
Second.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
now go ahead.
Okay. So you've seen it before, but went back to the subcommittee and we've had a lot of very fruitful discussions around this issue. And so this was the revised policy as we were able to agree on.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess my only addition would be excused tardies or excused early dismissal. Like, would there be any language that the principal could approve a reason? Like today, my son's education evaluation, but it wasn't specifically a doctor. So it's like, I don't want to be like limited to this exact list. Like if the principal knows the circumstance.
And I think it's important to note, Mrs. Scan, that it would be an excused absence as far as possibly not moving forward with truancy, but it really is, even medically excused absences are considered non-excused when that data is sent to RIDE. So we use it on our end to not follow up with a conversation about truancy. So that collaborative conversation can happen with the building principal.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be a challenging policy to implement. I'll just put that out there. But I think if this is what the policy subcommittee and the principals want, we'll try it.
We'll welcome the policy back next year if we need to. At this time, I feel like we have done a lot of work with this policy, and I appreciate everyone on the committee because we pushed each other's thinking and we started with what was an intense, very comprehensive first draft. I think now we're at a point where our school leadership certainly feels strongly that we would like to try to implement this policy.
I think, as we discussed at length, we're talking about striking a balance between the importance of having kids in school so that they can learn, having them there on time, having them, there for the full day, versus accommodating the flexible needs of individual kids. You've always got extenuating circumstances that come into play in one way or another. And so in the policy, we're trying to establish that balance. And as Dr. Rivera said, I think we may be looking at this year to see if we got that right or if we need to adjust. So,
if this were already implemented, is it something, the social suspension, that would have been enforced often?
The social suspension part of it, I mean, maybe our high school principal or middle school. Again, they were both a part of this process and felt strongly about this portion.
So we actually had a lot of great, I think, discussion and discourse with it. I think one of the difficulties in reworking the policy and things was in looking at the students, just taking like a snapshot. If we were to say it was a mandatory social suspension, one of my concerns at the table, and Jay was awesome in having that conversation, was we have about 130 as of April, 130 students that would be ineligible to participate in extracurriculars for high school out of the 750 that we currently have. So that was some conversation around numbers. So, you know, the social suspension piece, while I 1000% agree with the importance of attendance, it's a difficult struggle, you know, for a variety of different reasons. We could go on for, you know, till midnight, if not longer, about the topic, but trying to strike the balance, I think, has been the key as part of the conversation. But yeah, right now, real-time numbers, you're probably looking at about 130 PHS students specifically that would be off fields, out of clubs, out of the play, etc. So
Part of our discussion was that hopefully with the implementation of a policy like that, that number would go way down because people would acknowledge the seriousness of
being in
I
school.
wanted to say that. Ms. McDade articulated that very well, is that once there's a policy or rule in place, then people will follow them. In the event that they don't follow them, then there are consequences that we have to put in place. It's just a natural reaction, behavioral science.
I do think, and I'm sure you're already planning for this, but I think there needs to be a huge information blitz, particularly with, you know, existing students, about what this actually means. I mean, maybe, you know, first weeks of advisories and maybe advisory, you know, maybe there's a warning that goes out to students that says, hey, you're 2 or 3 away, you know, and I guess there's not really a reset, right? I mean, it's a year, and then it resets.
I can
So,
confidently tell you, at the middle school, those meetings already happen.
okay,
So,
good.
the fact that we can add this to the discussion now makes it real.
Okay.
So we have those biweekly attendance meetings. We are bringing students to truants who have excessive targets. But we could eliminate some of those in the front. We'll get to that. And there's, and Mr. Costa's here. I know that it may sound laborious in some of the work that has to be done. There are reports in Aspen that pull that information very quickly. It's called the principal's report. So we have the capabilities to do it.
Okay.
And attendance has been a focus at the state level.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, we as a district pride ourselves in being at the top, but we certainly are not always at the top when it comes to those percentages of students who are chronically absent. So we would like to, you know, continue to work on that because we value students being in class, learning every single day.
Yeah.
It's a star rating factor too, isn't it?
Okay, we have no vote on this. This is just a read through. Okay. So that is, now we're gonna go back to item A, please. And I don't know if you can do this, Heather, but can you pull up, can I have a motion for discussion, please?
You really need a motion? I move for discussion of the school committee meeting and time schedule for 2026 to 2027.
Second.
Okay, so this is just discussion to provide information tonight. Is it possible for you to put one up on the left side and one on the right side, please, so we can kind of compare?
Challenges me.
I know. Wait, go and slide it over, you know, like hit it to the left and hit it to the right. It should be able to do it, but if it can't. So, Dr. Viveris, why don't you key up the background for this and why you are suggesting it would come on the agenda?
So I've shared 4 options for our school committee, meeting schedule for next year. The first two options include the 2nd and 4th Tuesday, which are currently the Tuesdays that we use, but this option has us with a 6 o'clock start time, which would mean that we would have a 5:30 executive session start time. I've also included option 2 of the 2nd and 4th Tuesday, which would just be our normal 6:30 executive session with a 7 o'clock public meeting. So those are options 1 and 2. So 2nd and 4th Tuesday, those are the Tuesdays that we currently are using. One is with a public meeting start time at 6, executive session at 5:30. The other is to keep it 7, executive session at 6:30. The other 2 options are the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of the month. And again, it's with an option of a 5:30 executive session 6 o'clock public, or a 6:30, 7 o'clock. This option of the first and third Tuesday came from Chris and I. And it really is just to get our meetings opposite of the town council meetings that are currently happening. There are several weeks where we have back-to-back very late nights. And we also may not have this conflict of moving out of the chambers, because we're out of the chambers this evening because the town council meeting is occurring at the same time. So that was just a suggestion that we threw out there. And again, I was trying to look at the start times. I feel like we've polled the committee a few times this year about additional meetings that we've had, and it seemed like there was a preference for meetings to possibly be a little earlier. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And all 4 of these options have one meeting scheduled for August, September, November, December, and January. All other months have 2 meetings, and that really is, leading into the budget and needing those 2 meetings and leading to the end of the school year.
I think there's 2 things here. One, we have to set our calendar for next year, right? So that's a requirement. We also have an election coming up in November, right? So I think that's, and November, when the new council or the new committee takes its place, they set their date and time for meetings, which usually follows whatever schedule's been out. I think the thing to think about first is, do we want to keep it the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays or the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays? And then once we figure that out, is it an earlier start or the regular start? So I would suggest we kind of divide it a little bit about that. Now, there has historically been a conflict with the water board on the 1st and 3rd weeks.
There won't be anybody from the water board.
But since Mr. Ferber's not running again, this is his last jaunt on the school committee, but staying on the water board, that wouldn't be a conflict.
Do we know, are there any other conflicts?
We looked, and there does not seem to be. We went through almost all of the meetings.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the days, I mean, some of them, there were some holiday conflicts, like the 3rd, I mean, kind of coming up with the
like vacation week conflict.
Vacation weeks and things like that. So, I mean, but part of it might be where there's no decision being made tonight. Part of it might be looking at these 2 calendars when you get home and checking your calendar and seeing, if there's like something that.
Do people really schedule things this hard? Like, I don't care what Tuesday I'm here, just tell me and I'll show up. And then just any conversation on the times?
Earlier, that's fine with me. I don't have a.
I have a problem moving it up earlier, and just because I feel like if parents are getting home from work and, we're asking kids and families to be here for stuff, I mean, I feel like I don't want to take their dinner hour. So if they come at 7, and we do it quickly, you're done by 7:30. I feel that, but that's just my personal bias.
If they came at 6, though, they could leave by 6:30.
Yeah, but then you also have sports practices and everything else. I mean, I don't know. I think somebody's going to be inconvenienced regardless what you do, right?
Not me.
It's only 2 months, but I can't get here before 6:30.
Right.
Okay.
I would say time-wise, I'd rather keep
it
the same, yeah.
Sure.
Same.
I would agree.
I don't care either way. I can do earlier or keep it the same.
All right, so and then that also means the executive would start much earlier, right? Or we'd have to have executive back, but that doesn't make sense if we're voting on something, you have to have it beforehand. So okay, so time, I'm hearing keep the time the same.
Okay.
Do you guys, it's a preference of the committee to take this home and look at it? Or is there something jumping out at people that says, oh no, I have a strong preference for 2nd and 4th versus 1st and 3rd?
I think 1st and 3rd makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm with
The
Karen.
reasons that you said, because there are you know, several meetings a year where we're either here or we go to a Wednesday or whatever. And that would simplify things.
And it would also make it easier on people who have to be at the town council meeting the night before.
The night
and then-
before, yeah.
Yeah, don't have 2 late nights in a row.
Right, right.
Any objections?
No preference between.
I don't really have a preference. So first and third, regular start time, we'll put it on the next agenda to vote to approve the council. So take a look at the one, which one is it? Is it the one that has the,
During
Yeah.
vacation week.
And maybe I can have Heather send it out.
which one is it? Is the one on the left or the right?
On the right.
The right that we're, go, scroll down a bit. That's August, what does that say? 18th is the start?
August 18th.
Oh, no, that's the same for both of them. Why is that September 15th? So September 15th. Okay, so September 15, that's the one we're looking at. So take a look at that.
Is that's a holiday?
What?
September 15th. Oh, we just,
No,
somewhere in there.
No, that's the calendar that we'd be voting on that calendar next time. So if anybody looks at that and says it's a problem. Okay,
That's the reasoning.
is that the feedback you needed?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, before we adjourn, 2 very, very important announcements besides the other upcoming meetings, policy subcommittee. Remember, we have the post-prom school committee meeting executive session if needed. We have to have a quorum of 4. That means there's been a problem at prom. And hopefully we won't have to have it. We haven't had to have it. So, but keep an eye on your email on that because we'll need to have a quorum. And then the other thing I want to mention is obviously graduation's coming up. Senior award night is Monday night. The final school committee meeting of the for June, is it, we have one more in June?
We actually have
2 in June? Okay, so June 8th. But it's really important to get as many people as we can.
I think that's a typo, isn't it? June 9th?
Or is that the one we do with the town, do we do it with the town council? That's a Monday.
Hold on.
June 8th is a Monday. Is that a typo?
That is a typo.
Okay, sorry, June 9th. But very important that we get as many people as we can on June 22nd, which is a Monday. And that's when
That's the town council meeting.
which is voting on the language for the bond. And we want to have support for that.
And then
It's not when they determine how much they're actually going to bond. It's just what the language is they're putting on the ballot question.
Meeting.
Finance meeting.
Okay.
And then we do have a school committee meeting the following day on the 23rd, right? A regular one? Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
23rd.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous, 7-0. Thank you all very much.